Yo, what is going on YouTube, and welcome back to another video. I wanted to talk about why you should not completely let go of the past, right? I know a lot of YouTube self-improvement coaches, life coaches in general, they'll say that in order to move forward, you have to let go of the past. And I do agree with this to a certain extent, that you should always be moving forward with your life, but the part that I don't agree on is the part where they say to completely let go of your past. For starters, for me personally, growing up, I was a pretty nerdy kid. I remember going to middle school, going to class, coming back home, and I would literally just do my homework, finish that in like an hour, and then just go hop on and play this game called RuneScape. For those of you guys who are watching my channel who might be kind of young, RuneScape was this RPG game where you basically designed this player, right? You basically were a character in this virtual world where you basically level the character up and make him become really rich, really strong, get all these fighting skills, get all these financial skills. Like, it was a pretty fun game growing up as a kid, and it's funny, man, I was so nerdy. Like, I was actually one of the top RuneScape players in the entire country, I think. At one point when I was looking at my rankings, I was like combat level 105, something like that. I was absolutely crushing it at that game. I think the reason that I really loved that game so much was it gave me kind of like that gratification feeling that I was actually good at something, It gave me kind of an escape as well from the real world. Like I said, earlier, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. I was a very nerdy kid, and RuneScape was kind of like that escape from like reality for me. And it was an online game. You chatted with people throughout the internet. Like, I was literally one of those kids that people make fun of that like had no friends, and literally the only friends I had were my online friends from video games. Those type of kids, that was who I was at one point. That was literally who I was in middle school. I would go to school, go to class, come back, finish my homework in like an hour or two, and then play RuneScape the rest of the night. It was a horrible, horrible habit. I didn't have too much going for me back in the day, man. And life was very, very tough growing up. It was very, very tough growing up. And I think I knew it was a bad habit, but I just didn't have the motivation, didn't have the drive. And I basically was such a lazy kid. I didn't realize how toxic this type of behavior was, right? And really, going on to like high school, when I kind of grew out of that video game phase, there was a lot of other stuff that I was insecure of, right? It was like really my body, when I tried out for football, like I was the scrawniest kid on the team. I wore like these weird t-shirts, and like I said, I was a nerd, so I always wore these like weird like anime t-shirts, like these Dragon Ball Z t-shirts, and I got made fun of a lot, man. When it came to girls, I didn't have the courage to muster up any type of conversation with any of these women. I never had a girlfriend at all in high school. I was scared to talk to them. I remember like finally, my like junior year, when I had the courage to ask a girl out, finally I just, did it. I got rejected. And looking back, at all these events, right? No, I wouldn't say any of them are necessarily traumatic. They're not, they're just toxic experiences that a lot of kids go through growing up. But regardless, man, these events, they're all things that happened in the past, right? That I look back on. And the thing is, like, the main reason why, I think it's kind of, BS when some coaches out there are like, let go, forget about the past and move on. I understand, always going forward, the world doesn't stop, neither should you. That's something I preach a lot on this channel. However, the first part of it where they say, to completely shatter these memories, like, I think it's kind of BS, because at the end of the day, these were real life events that happened, right? There were real life events that happened, and life isn't a video game. You can't necessarily delete real life shit that happened. Like, these were real things that happened in your life, no matter how toxic or traumatic they may be. These were actual real events that happened in your life. You can't really necessarily go back and delete them. So that's why I disagree when some of these lifestyle coaches or YouTubers are like, you should delete and forget about the past and move on, because you can't necessarily forget about it. Even now at like age 29, right? I still think back to like some of the shit that happened when I was younger every now and then. Like every now and then some of these memories creep up, right? At the end of the day, you can't delete your past memories, guys. These are real things that actually happened in real life, So that's kind of the first reason why I think it's kind of BS when people say that delete the stuff that happened in your past, forget about them, because at the end of the day, good or bad, these were real life memories that actually happened. You can't just delete them like they're part of some video game. You can't just shatter them. Instead of, forgetting about it, you have to kind of adapt and you have to embrace what happened in the past. You have to embrace it. And, instead, take these events from the past and use it to level up in your life. Use it as kind of like a starting point that you can just look back at. Assuming most of you guys are on this self-improvement journey, right? And I've at least improved a little bit from how you may have been in college or high school. You can look back on these events in the past is really a good thing, You can look back and see where you started and where you are now. So, and you can really use this to not just compare yourself to who you were in the past, but use it as motivation on kind of like your off days, right? We all have, off days every now and then. We have these off days where we might not feel like getting out of bed or like doing a hobby or doing a task, or, we might just be feeling lazy and not going to the gym, or we don't feel like working or putting in the work. There's always days when just human nature, we're gonna have these off days where we feel lazy. But what's really worked for me, and I encourage you to do so, is on those moments in your life as you continue to level up, look back on those memories of the past that you might have journaled down, or maybe just look back at yourself through like old pictures before you started lifting weights, right? Look back at these old photos, look back at, those memories that you've written down, or even just think back about, those memories, and just see and analyze like how far you've come to where you are now. Write down in the journal, stuff where you are now, how much progress you've made from how you originally were. Have these always have, some current day photos of you fitness wise, have, current day progress. Write down, your daily goals. Like I always say, write down things you've accomplished as well. And just so you can analyze really how much you've grown. So really what you want to do is, not eliminate everything from your past, right? Instead, look back on it and see, how far you've come, because you're gonna need that stuff to really just motivate you on your days where you feel like you're down. It happens to everyone on the self-improvement journey. We're just gonna have days where we don't feel like getting up and doing shit. We're gonna have days where our goals, they might not be hit. We're gonna have days where we have setbacks, right? Setbacks, whether hitting PRs at the gym, things, business projects you're working on, things go wrong. It's part of life. The path to success, it's not a linear path. It's gonna have ups and downs, but it's really important to not let go of your very past memories, because in those moments where you don't feel like doing work, it's good to kind of dive back in the past. And regardless of where you are current day, if things are going up or down, at some point in your life, if you're on the self-improvement journey, you have made at least some strides to where you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And during the present day, when you don't feel like doing shit, when you feel at your lowest moments, look back to that man you were like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and just analyze and look to where you are now. And you can clearly, compare and see the difference that self-improvement has made for you. You can see the difference, how much you've improved from the guy you used to be. I've always had kind of an ectomorph body type, but just looking back at, how I used to look and just the amount of progress I've made in the gym from when I first started, they're just subtle reminders to just keep going, man, and never give up. And that's why, I really think for a lot of young men out there, they shouldn't just cut out the toxic moments of their life. They shouldn't just forget the past. Look and journal those moments that they might have had in their low points, and then journal the present day and look at where they are now, so they can kind of do a comparison from past to present and just see how much they've improved, assuming they're on the self-improvement journey, especially to you guys that are on the self-improvement journey, man. I don't think you should completely shatter everything in the past. Instead, use it as kind of like that initial point that you can look back at during your days in the present on your self-improvement journey. Have those memories, and you take those memories and use them to drive you on your days currently on your self-improvement journey. Have it serve you as a reminder of how far you have come, man. Anyways, guys, I hope this video helped you all out. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, as I post new videos every single week, multiple times a week, every Tuesday and Friday, on all things men's lifestyle, self-improvement, confidence, and becoming the best possible version of yourselves. I'll catch you all in the next video somewhere up here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Peace out, homie.